everyone, it's Ashley with Going Crochetzy, and for today's video I am going over something that is pretty new to me, but I have been getting asked a lot of questions about, and that is pattern designing, beginning all the way to the end, on how to put it out to the world so that the world can receive the pattern that you have created, whether it's free or paid. So I am super new to this. I've only started pattern designing myself within the past couple of months. February 1st was the first pattern I put out for the year of 2025 and ever before. And so you're gonna get the perspective of someone that is very new to pattern designing, and maybe I can give you some tips and tricks on how I got started and give you some ideas of what not to do, because there's a few things that I have done wrong already within my short period of time in pattern designing that I have learned very quickly not to do again. And so first and foremost, you need to come up with your concept. What are you going to make? So that is pretty important to pattern designing. If you don't have an idea of what you want to make, how are you going to make it? You have to have that idea. What I like to do is I like to try to come up with an original thought process of something that's not out there, that is a little bit unique. I know that's kind of hard to do these days since there are so many patterns out there and so many pattern designers. So that concept is very important. My first pattern I actually put out was based off of a custom order that I was requested for. I went scouring the internet looking for a pattern for a crayon, and I had very specific ideas of what this crayon was gonna look like. I looked at Etsy, Ravelry, Dribbler, Pinterest, all of these different sites looking for a crayon pattern that matched what I thought of in my head, and I couldn't find it. And so that's why I decided to create my own pattern. And it had always been in the back of my head to create patterns to put out into the world. I have been creating patterns of my own for years, just not writing them down and putting them out into the wild, so to speak. And so it wasn't new to me to design these patterns. I knew the basics. So if you know how to make shapes and put shapes together and just create something, if you've crocheted for quite some time and you've done a lot of different items, it's easier because you know the basics of it. So knowing the basics is pretty important so that you can put something like this together where you have all of these different shapes, and then you're able to connect them together to create a body and create that character that you are looking to create. And then putting it together is the next step, right? So having the concepts in your head, knowing how to make those basic shapes to fulfill that concept that you have in your head. I haven't personally had to write down or to sketch out a creation yet, because I can see it in my head. It's a very clear picture in my head when I am thinking of the design I want to make. But if it helps you out, you can hand sketch it out, give yourself a little idea, give you some guidelines of maybe length or shape or any other thing like that you want to put into the pattern, and then starting the pattern. I know some designers can create a pattern without even creating the plushie or the pattern that they are, or the blanket or the bag or anything else that they are creating. But for me, I feel like I'm still so new. I need to sit down and I need to crochet this thing out multiple times before I get that finished project. For example, my first pattern that I made, it took me 3 tries before I perfected the shaping that I wanted. So on the first try, I had made this guy, and I really liked the way I had made the legs. I really liked the placement of the arms, but when it got to this point at the top, I felt like it looked too much like a baby's bottle, and not enough like a crayon. And so I put it down to the side. I had written out everything as I went, which is very important. Don't make the mistake of not writing as you create. Even if you're gonna go in and delete half of it because you don't like the way it turned out, write it down. So important. You can either handwrite this down or you can write it down on a computer, your phone, notes, whatever you want to do. Make sure you're writing things down, because the second you get through this and you look at it, you are going to forget what you did. So being able to write things down as you go, so important. Don't make a mistake of not doing that, because it's not going to come back the same every time. Even with something super basic as this base, if I hadn't written it down, I probably wouldn't have gotten it the same the second time around. And then as you change up your concepts, like this guy, I had the same general idea. I did the same thing all the way up until here. And then I tried to change up the top of the crayon the second time. And I decided after I was done, one, I didn't fill the top, so it was kind of flat looking, and definitely too pointy and tall to be a crayon. And so I was like, okay, this looks more pencil than crayon to me. So still scrap that one as well. So I had concept one, concepts two. So prototype one, prototype type two, and they had everything from here down. Perfect. Loved it from the first shot. I was like, awesome, doing so great. Get to this tip and I'm not loving it. Try a third time. Third time's a charm sometimes, right? And so that's when I came up with this guy, and he has much more of that rounded top, and it looks more like a crayon top to me than a pencil or a bottle. And so it took me 3 tries before I was happy with the finished product. And so there you go, generation 1, 2, and then 3. So just because you are creating something and it's in your head and you think you know exactly what you're doing, doesn't mean you're gonna get it right the first time. Chances are you're gonna have to switch it up a couple times before you are super happy with the final result. So you have come up with your concepts, you have written your concept down, and you have decided that you are happy with the final result once you have created it. Now what do? You make sure it is written out in a document. This could be on any platform you prefer, depending on whether you are using a laptop or a phone or whatever. I personally like to use Canva. So now you need to transfer your notes and put this in a document. And once you have this written down, you have your pictures taken. Another tip, pro tip, semi-pro tip, because I'm not pro, but a semi-pro tip: when you are creating your pattern, make sure to be taking pictures as you go. This is my 4th cat, because number 1, 2, and 3 didn't take good enough pictures. So I had to go out and retake all of these different pictures of these different elements to add to my pattern. If you don't want to take a lot of pictures for your pattern, okay, you don't have to worry about that. But me personally, if I'm going to purchase a pattern, I want to see pictures so that when it comes to little complicated things like this hand and how to place it and everything like that, I know what I'm doing and it's not a guessing game. So having those pictures of each little element is pretty important to me in my own pattern writing, because it's going to translate to the person that is doing your pattern so much better. So take it from me, take some pictures as you go, and don't forget, because then you're gonna have to recreate an entire thing. And I mean, that's not a bad thing. I love this cat. I could make this cat 30 times over and be happy with it. But when you are wanting to get it out to the world in a speedy time, you might not want to have to create another cat right then and there. You might have something else you want to do, right? So take those pictures, add that to your pattern, and then it's time for a pattern tester call. I like to go on Instagram and ask people, hey, do you want to test this pattern for me? And once you get enough people to test your pattern, might be some friends, you know, maybe you're new to Instagram, that's okay. You can do it on Facebook, you can do it anywhere. Try to pick some people that you think are trustworthy though, because I have heard of people who kind of take the pattern and disappear and they never finish the pattern for you. So just be careful. I have my certain ducks in a row before I just pick random people. I had my friends actually test this one for me. I didn't even put it out for a pattern tester call. So if you do have the option for your first pattern that you are writing to have friends test it for you that know how to crochet and are willing to do that, go for that first so that you know that you're coming from a trustworthy arena. Then if you do decide to do the Instagram, Facebook pattern testing route, then just do some screening of the people that you are having test your pattern. Make sure that they have, you know, a public page, that they have a bunch of items on there that you can see clearly how they have done their work in the past, and all of that good stuff, because there are some people out there that will just try to get for free, and that's not cool. Moving on, that's beyond the point of this video. Once you have your pattern testers, you're gonna send that pattern off to them, whether that be through a share link if you're using Canva, or a Word document that you can email to them. And once they have that pattern in hand, be prepared. I'm telling you now, because no matter how many times you have gone through your own pattern and you think you are rocking it and the pattern is pristine and perfect and you're not going to get any comments, be prepared for the comments, because they're going to come at you. They're going to come at you hard and fast, and you're not going to be always very confident after you see how many little mistakes you have made within your pattern. Because I know for me, most of my issues, especially with my first pattern, was formatting, which you will get better at as you continue creating patterns. But to just have that easy flow within your pattern, and then grammatical errors and everything like that, that you don't even see, yeah, be prepared for that. Be prepared and be open for critiques, for people to suggest different ways of doing something, for different ways of saying things, because the whole reason behind the pattern testing is so that you know multiple people are going to be able to read your pattern, to be able to create your pattern. That's what we're trying to fulfill. We're trying to get someone to go from this and to create this in the end. So if you have a pattern that's not readable to the person, this isn't going to become this. It's going to become something else, and they're not going to be happy. So you definitely want to have those testers available to give you all of those critiques and to help you create the perfect pattern, to create a pattern that is going to be able to go into the world, and to have those people be of different levels or, you know, different backgrounds be able to create the same thing, so that each and every person creates this rather than something that doesn't look anything like the pattern that you personally have put out there. Because that can happen. I don't know how many times I have gone in to create a pattern that I bought sometimes, or a free pattern, but it can happen with bought patterns as well. You go in and you try to create the pattern that they tell you to do, and it just does not work out. It doesn't look like it's supposed to. Or maybe you get to a point in the pattern and you have no idea how to get past that point, and you are lost, and maybe you can't reach out to the pattern designer to ask them a question. They're unavailable to reach out for any questions that you might have. And so just be prepared to get lots of critiques while you are within the pattern designing phase still. Even though it's out to your testers, you're still within the designing phase to perfect that pattern. And so critiques will come, Sometimes it's something as simple as you forgot to put a period here, versus something that is like, I have no idea what you're telling me right now. I don't know what's going on. And that might not be from every single person that tests the pattern. That might just be from one person. But even if only one person is saying, I don't understand this, that's a percentage of everyone else who would be at that same point, right? Where you get to that point and I don't understand what you're trying to say here, so clarification is needed. And so that's when you can add more pictures. You can add some videos to help, or you can rewrite and reword it completely. I know when I came to Dusty, I had Dusty all set. He was my third pattern. I had already put out my crayon and pencil pattern, and I had already put out Georgie. So I was feeling pretty good about my pattern writing skills. And so we got to Dusty, and Dusty's feet were giving people a little bit of a run for their money. So I had to go back in and adjust the feet so that they made a little bit more sense to everybody as a whole versus just me as I'm sitting here creating a pattern. So that was a tweak I made to make Dusty better. And once I made that like teeny tiny little tweak of maybe, I can't even remember what it was, but it was something like I had a number count was off or something like that. Something simple, but very crucial to the pattern. Once that was fixed, we were good to go. And so just be open-minded when you are asking people to test your pattern. I like to get people of all levels and people who I know, but also people who I have no idea. I have never just talked to them before. They are requesting to test my pattern and I don't know who they are, because those people are going to be more critical than your friends are going to be with you. Because when you are putting out a pattern and you have a friend make it for you, they're gonna be a little bit more gentle with you, maybe. Not necessarily. Some of my friends who have tested my patterns for me are very good at correcting all kinds of different things for me, which is what I want. But you know, some of them are gonna be a little bit more gentle to you and not want to hurt your feelings or to like step on any toes. So they might not be as willing to critique your stuff. And so that's why it's really good to have a mixture of the two, so that you get those people that are definitely going to say this, and this don't make sense or are wrong, or you need to fix this, yada yada, as Seinfeld would say, for the pattern, so that you get the best pattern you can possibly get. So once you have your pattern testers finishing up that pattern, now what do, right? Now you've made all those corrections in your pattern. It's looking good. You review it yet again, because I review my pattern probably 30 times over and I still don't see certain things that people pick up on. And then once they show it to me, I'm like, oh my goodness, how did I not see that? But it happens. That's why we have pattern testers. And so once you have your pattern created completely and you know that you are fully confident that this pattern is ready to go out to the hands of people, you get the choice of how you're going to release it. Maybe on Instagram as a free pattern, maybe you're going to choose Etsy for a paid pattern, or another platform. I personally use Ko-Fi for all of my patterns, as that was the platform that, yes, it's not going to get pushed out as well as it will on Etsy, but I felt more confident and comfortable in the Ko-Fi formatting versus the Etsy formatting. And so I went with Ko-Fi personally. There's also, you can have your own website, whatever you want to do with it, you can then go that route. So you're going to want to put that pattern that you have made within a PDF file so that it's able to go out to everyone so that they are able to open it. I personally like to make it a printable option, because not everyone is going to print it, but if they do, you want to have it formatted so that they are able to print it easily. I know within the first couple of patterns I had made, it was not printer friendly. I had to adjust it as I went, because I didn't realize, like one of my testers said I tried to print the pattern, couldn't get all the words, or maybe it used up too much ink because the background was too dark, or simple things like that that you don't think of. You're just trying to make your pattern pretty when you first get started. Have less of the colors in the background or the little extra doodads and pictures and stickers sitting around for my printer friendly version of my patterns, so that people are able to focus on the pattern and get the pattern versus it be just pretty. Now, of course, with Instagram, like I have a free Instagram pattern for this bunny, and with the Instagram pattern, I went full ham on it. I put pink background, I put a bunch of little stickers and carrots and bunnies and all of the above for this to make it nice and pretty for the Instagram world, right? Where things are pretty and you're just flipping through these pages and you're creating this pattern in the pretty version, but not necessarily has that specific function to it. You can read the pattern clearly still, but all the little extras in the background are unnecessary. They're just flashy to have you be able to enjoy what you're looking at. But I also created the printer friendly version of this pattern and put it on my Ko-fi, so that if maybe you don't want to have to open up Instagram and go to your saved files every single time you want to create the pattern, you can go to the printer friendly version where it's straight up, this is the pattern, these are the pictures to help you get through this pattern, and you have formatted it so that you're able to read it and not have all the fun fancy things in the background, so that you're just getting what you actually need versus something cute and pretty and fun. Once you've decided on which format you're going for and which platform you're going to put it on, then that's when you get to put it out into the world and you get to share it with the world and, promote yourself, obviously. Put it on your Instagram, put it on your Facebook, let people know that it's out there, because even if you're putting it into Etsy, and Etsy will help to self-generate it to get it to the top, you still need to give yourself some baseline promotion so that people know it's out there and that they're excited to see it. I actually like to start sprinkling in little ideas and bits and pieces of my patterns that are maybe in the process of being created, or they're created and they're out with the testers, such as this guy. So I put a picture out the other day on my Instagram of this guy, kind of like this, saying, can you guess what it is? And if you guessed a monkey and you're watching this, you were correct. It's a monkey. And so I have not put this out to a tester call. I just made my first one. So before I put a tester call out to it, I am going to go back into my pattern and I'm going to create a second one so that I know everything is reading okay. I put everything down that I needed to put down, because even when you're writing the pattern and you think you are in there and you've gotten everything down, if you go in a second time, sometimes you might have missed out on something and without even realizing it. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna double check, make sure that everything reads right. I'm gonna go in and I'm going to create this pattern again, just like I would be someone buying the pattern and trying it out for the first time. I'm gonna try it out, see if it comes out like this. Of course, I can make tweaks and perfections along the way. And then once I get the second monkey made, I will go ahead and throw out a pattern tester call where I ask everyone, hey, can you come and test out this pattern for me? I'll pick my pattern testers. I like to pick between 8 to 10 people. Gives you a pretty broad span of different perspectives. And then once they test out the pattern, I will get it into that PDF form in a shareable document and put it out into my Ko-fi. So I just put a description on my Ko-fi I put some pictures out. I like to take lots and lots of pictures so that you can see all different angles. You can see what he does, because not only is he gonna be able to sit on his own, he's gonna be able to do fun little poses. And so having all of those options to really showcase what your pattern can do is also helpful, especially if you have a fun creative pattern that has maybe a fidget or anything like that. That's always a fun to add in so that people know how it works. Maybe even putting a video out about it would be a good way to show what they do. Like, I can make him meditate or crunch up or do all kinds of different things. So being able to showcase what your pattern is in a clear, concise way is going to help you create more sales if you are trying to sell a pattern, or create more saves on Instagram if you are trying to put out a free pattern. And so just promoting yourself in fun little different ways, maybe having your pattern testers promote it, or like me with YouTube, I'm able to promote it on not only my YouTube, but on my Instagram as well, and sharing it with the world so that, you know, you can see what you can make with your patterns. Now, I know some of my patterns have been much more successful than others. Dusty has gotten lots of love. The crayons have gotten lots of love. And even Geraldine, who is new, has gotten lots of love too. For as long as it's been out there, Geraldine has done fairly well for herself. But I have other patterns in there, like Juniper, that haven't done as well for themselves, like and haven't had as much love given to them. I think Juniper is the least loved of them all, and unfortunately, but that is also something I kind of expected, because it's getting close to Easter time and there's a lot of bunny patterns out there. So the fact that Juniper isn't as loved doesn't surprise me, because there's a lot of options out there, and I'm not on Etsy, so my option isn't getting pushed up to the top. It's all of word of mouth for me to promote it. So I actually wasn't even planning to put Juniper out. I was just creating her for my own personal market, because I also have the pointy eared Juniper. So you have two options for Juniper. You have like the pointed ear option, and then you have this lopped ear option. I don't have my pointed ear options anymore. A friend of mine did come by and get both of my pointed ear options for her kids for Easter, so I don't have that one to show you guys in person. This is the floppy eared version of Juniper. So I kind of made her for myself, and then I asked you guys if you would be interested in her, and I had gotten a lot of positive responses, so I put her out there, and she hasn't gotten much love, but that's okay, because it was also something that I wanted to do for myself. So when you are creating a pattern and you want to get lots of love for something, one, make it different. I have lots of generic animal options, right? So like I have my dog, my cat, my giraffe, and soon to come my monkey. These are all pretty generic, easy to grab options that you can find just about anywhere, but they're all unique in a different way. You know, they can sit up on their own. They each have something different about them. So even though they are all within the same category, these shelf sitters, I have created them all to be slightly different. And so that they are more desirable, because there's something different, more specific, special about them, versus like Juniper, that there's a million patterns out there that are being put out this month and last month. But you know, like this guy, this is also a bunny, but it was a little bit more specific. This guy, even has gotten more love than Juniper on my Ko-Fi. Even though this guy is a free pattern, he has actually gotten more love on my Ko-Fi than Juniper has, because there's something a little bit more different and special about him, I guess. But I feel like that was a really long-winded way of just telling you guys to try to come up with something creative from your heart and just go and put it out into the world, take that test. I still get nervous putting out different patterns to my testers based off of being unsure of how it's going to turn out. This is how it turns out in my mind, because something that's in my mind written on paper doesn't always translate the same. So just trying to give yourself some confidence and faith in what you do. Have fun with it. Of course, it's a lot of work to create these patterns. It takes a lot of time, so don't expect to be able to try to get something out there overnight. But if you put a lot of time and effort into it, you can get some fun, cute, creative ideas of your own. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to sell or share them with other people. You can always keep these to yourself. Here we are with all of the cute creations I have designed so far, and I have more that I have in the backgrounds. I have my Yeti and I have my moose in the works and all of that, but it takes time and effort to get those patterns out to you guys. So that is why they haven't been released yet. And so knowing that maybe it's gonna take you 3, 4, 5 months to release one pattern is okay. Take your time, enjoy the process. You don't have to put them out overnight unless something just flows with you. Once I got the idea of Georgie the cat, the ideas just kind of flew in at me, and like they just keep coming. And so it's easier for me to create them because I have that base of what I'm trying to do. But sometimes your creative juices aren't going to work as easily, and so you might get that kind of creativity block. And just embrace the creativity block. Go and make some other patterns from other people. Don't put so much pressure on yourself of having to create a pattern, because when you put that too much pressure on yourself, you're gonna get overwhelmed. We don't wanna be overwhelmed. We want this to be a fun process. So take a step back, maybe go to the movies, try to get some motivation from something that's within your life that you love, and go from there. But I guess that's everything I had to say to you guys. I know this wasn't the most put together, well explained video, maybe. It's just a lot of rambling going on. I'm still new to pattern, and so I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I'm just kind of winging it as I go and just doing the best I can. And I really appreciate all of you who have been along for this ride with me and who have maybe purchased a pattern, made a pattern, tested a pattern, told me how beautiful my patterns are. Any way you have shared any type of love with me, I really appreciate all of you, each and every single one of you. And I'm having a lot of fun making my own patterns, and I can't believe that this girl that 2 years ago said she was never gonna make a pattern to put out into the world has now put 6 patterns into the world and is working on 3 others behind the scenes. And so I really appreciate all of you so much for giving me this confidence. If you saw me, if you've been following along since day 1 of me on YouTube, or if you've seen my past videos versus the video I'm showing you right now, I have become such a different person. I have so much more confidence in my own crochet abilities. I feel so inspired by all of you guys out there, whether you know it or not. So thank you guys for coming along with me in this ride, and I gotta go ahead and get to crocheting so that I can get this new guy out to you. I do have a name for him. He's going to be Morty, and I'm pretty excited to get him out to you guys. And I do have a moose on the way as well. I just have to finish creating him. I've kind of taken a break from him for now, but I will talk to you guys on the next one. If you go all the way through, make sure to add a monkey emoji down in the comments below to let me know you got all the way through and that you got to see Morty. And if you like the name Morty, let me know. If you don't like the name Morty, you want me to come up with a different M name, I'm open for suggestions because I also have a moose. I have a name for the moose, but if you guys come up with a better name than I have for it, I will definitely use it. And so thank you guys for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys all on the next one. Bye.